everybody. It's me, Dot. I'm here for a little Wednesday afternoon Kobold chat. I know. But Dot, you're all alone. Well, you're darn tootin' I am, because today I had an idea. I didn't have a guest lined up because next week, we're going to get close to closing out the current Kickstarter for the Book of Ebon Tides. You can still back that on Kickstarter now. Let's see. There's a link in chat for you if you haven't already. Now, the Book of Ebon Tides is a setting guide, not just a campaign, but a setting guide to an expansion for 5th edition, specifically set in the Plane of Shadows, which is a very kind of dark, mysterious, trickstery, and illusion-filled place. It's got a lot of Shadow Fey, which, of course, if you want to learn more about the Shadow Fey, you can do that in the module or the campaign that we have out, Courts of the Shadow Fey, which we're actually running on the channel right now, the Kobold Press channel, on Monday nights. And part of what we're going to be doing today is actually continuing to crack open Courts of the Shadow Fey, because what my players don't know is they're getting very close to the end of this campaign, but we still have a few weeks left. And I'm going to actually be working in some of the new content from the Book of Ebon Tides into the end of Courts of the Shadow Fey. So I thought today we do a little GM planning. It never hurts to step back and show you what the process looks like. Figure out how maybe to work in the end of this campaign and how I want to roll out into one of the small adventures that's coming as part of the Kickstarter. It's going to be in the Tales of Shadow, which is it's going to have 12 or 13. I can never remember. I think it's 13. Adventures in it, like prompts or hooks for your players, set between levels 3 and 8, I believe. Might be 1 and 8. And the 12 of the 13 are brand new, and the 13th one you can get now, but it's going to have a whole kind of revamp going into the printing of this. So a lot of new content for the Book of Ebon Tides, and I believe as of today we broke 1,600 backers for that Kickstarter. Actually, let's find out. I want to know. I must know. If you're new to the channel, I want to thank you for being here. Thanks for dropping in. Let's see. Plain. Yeah, okay. So 1,688 backers, which might actually be the largest amount of backers we've ever had on a Kickstarter project to date, which is huge. Which is just huge. So it's a very exciting time to be here. Now, I also know, I saw a few of you chatting, our last Kickstarter, one of our previous Kickstarters, The Vault of Magic, has dropped to backers. A few of you have hard copies in hand. A few of you maybe have some PDFs. That's all very, very exciting. That's so very exciting. So this past Saturday, we did do a Vault of Magic one-shot, GM'd by the incredible Adam Bradford. It had a star-studded cast, including Daniel Kwan, B. Dave Walters, Celeste Conowitch, and... oh no, why can't I remember the last player? I feel so bad. Oh, V Muse. Duh. The great V Muse. It does have so many items. DM Toolbox has so many items. So, if you have your PDF, I want to hear what your favorite item is. No spoilers, obviously, but I don't think it's going to affect too much. But I want to know. We've got a subscription or a resubscribe. Thank you so much for coming back and being with us for 4 months. Those subscriptions actually really help this channel to keep going, to keep us alive and cooking. Plus, all of our subscribers get a slew of Kobold Press emotes, and they're so cute. They're all little Kobold emotes. They're so super cute. And there are a lot of other ways to support our Twitch channel. Buying our products is obviously one of the easiest ways because you support Kobold at large. But if you want to support the channel specifically, where we take those funds, we put them back into bringing talent, playing actual plays, doing chats like this. We've got some new shows coming down the pipeline, which I'm going to try to spill some beans on today. But if you want to support, you can always give bits. Bits here on Twitch are really great, and the more bits you give, the more access you have to our Bestiary emote grouping. I bet you didn't know that. We've got a couple of our Bestiary group available to you. I believe we actually have the Swobold. Oops. Let's see. I always forget that this is here. Yeah, we've got this little guy. There's a Swobold for you. But I also believe we have a couple others. We've got the Ooze Bowl, which is one of my favorites. The giant, it's like it's a gelatinous ooze, but it looks like a fishbowl, and it's got like a shark in it and stuff. It's a really, really fun one. And then I think we have one more, but I can't remember which one I chose. I can't remember which one is accessible right now. Oh yeah, the bear mitt. Boom. Little. So we chose some nautical type things for the summer. We'll have some fall ones releasing, but you can add to like your bestiary of creatures in your emotes by giving bits to the channel. You've seen some great weapons and armor you like for treasures as a PC and as a GM. Yeah. The art for the consuming rod is horribly awesome. I love that description. Horridly awesome. That seems about right for Kobold Press. That seems about right. Let's see. What else y'all got to say about this book? The Voltomatic PDF and a thanks for the 8,700 backers. So maybe you're right. Way more than what we've got right now for Book of Ebon Tides. The animated chainmail is going on a bad guy for sure. Oh, for sure. For sure. I have a particular favorite item, not just because of who wrote the item and submitted it into the book, but because the item is so wonderful. Way back when the Kickstarter was going on, I had a chance to interview a few of the designers that put stuff in this, one of which was Deborah Ann Wool. You can check out that interview back on our YouTube, but that, other than that being a really amazing interview, I just love Deborah's item. It's a Matryoshka doll. It's like a cursed Matryoshka doll. And I love the idea of this magic item having like another layer and another layer and another layer. And you just keep unpacking it. And every time you do, one of the Matryoshka dolls does something. Yes, so there you go. That's my favorite one. DM Toolbox is the Matryoshka doll that Deborah Ann Wool submitted. I feel like there's a couple others too. It is awesome. It's such an understated magic item. Like, it's gonna look like any other normal item. You know, it's like we just got out of spoopy season, or like Halloween season, and so I've been rewatching all my favorite horror movies, and one of the ones that I have to watch every year is Cabin in the Woods, because I think it's one of the most amazing, like, it's a really great horror movie, and it makes a lot of commentary on like in and around the horror genre. And for me, when that moment when they go into the basement, they have all the items, right? Spoiler alert for anybody that's not seen the movie. You know, they've got all the items, and it's the item that gets chosen that releases the correct monster for, you know, whatever the movie. And so this Matryoshka doll that she's created just seems like such an item that would like be on Baba Yaga's shelf, or in like a random tchotchke shop, or in the basement of somebody's home, and nobody knows that it's cursed because it's just this little Matryoshka doll. It seems so unassuming. So that's a big personal favorite. Celeste Konowich designed something called the Witch's Circle, which is also very, very cool, especially when you're looking for magic items that aren't just weapons, or aren't just what I call trinkets, right? Things you carry or you put in a pocket. So yeah, I'm glad you love that movie, WH Publications, because it's one of my favorites. It gets watched. Dale and Tucker Must Die is the other one that has to pretty much be watched every Halloween. I could go on a laundry list of all the movies I watched. If you haven't, you know, I'm not a big Nicolas Cage fan. Let's be real. Like, he tends to be the butt end of a lot of my actor jokes. Welcome in, Steph. Glad to see you here today. And thank you for that host. Nicolas Cage is like not my favorite at all. But he put out a new movie in 2020 with Hulu called I'm not going to remember what it's called. It's called The Witch's Circle. DM Toolbox, The Witch's Circle. Yep. It's called The Witch's Circle. And I love it. It's another very, very cool one. I was trying to think of a few of the others that we interviewed about. Daniel Kwan put out a very, very cool weapon that's like a historical weapon that is really, really neat. Oh, my setup's lovely. Thank you. I got a new light, and it's really helped pop the background a little bit, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I got off on a tangent. I got off on a magic item tangent and lost my train of thought. That's what happens. Oh, the Nicolas Cage movie. Here's the crazy thing. He doesn't speak at all in the movie. His character doesn't speak in the movie. Everybody just kind of talks around him or at him. But he rolls into town. This movie comes highly recommended because I had many a laugh at it. He comes rolling into this town, and his car is sabotaged. It blows out. Somebody puts a strip down. The local sheriff and the tow truck guy blame it on the local teenagers, that it was a total accident. But unfortunately, in this small town, they don't take credit cards, and they don't have an ATM machine for him to get cash. So he has no way of paying them to fix his Mustang. So they tell him he can work off the tires, basically the fixing of his car, if he'll clean up this it's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese. It's like their version of Chuck E. Cheese, but it uses a weasel, I think is the weasel, and unbeknownst to his character, until he gets in there, they lock him inside, and it's kind of this big sacrifice thing, and all the animatronics for this rundown kids place come to life, and this town has kind of been terrorized by these animatronics for so long, and they keep them locked inside of this location. Anyways, what the animatronics, everybody doesn't know, is Nicolas Cage's character is a total badass and absolutely slaughters these animatronics. It's a really great movie, and I cannot for the life remember. I'm gonna have to look it up now. I can't believe I can't remember. I just watched it the other night. What was the movie he just did? What is the movie he just did? Willy's Wonderland. It's called Willy's Wonderland. And they sing this creepy song, "It's your birthday. It's your birthday." And it's so creepy, but also so hysterical. Yes, basically. That's basically what it is. But these clockwork creatures, these animatronics, have been locked inside of Willy's Wonderland because they came to life, and they have wrecked all this havoc, and the local sheriff and a few of the adults know, and so they keep making sacrifices of unknowing people passing through the town by making them work off their car damage, and they get them in there, and everybody always dies. But when Nicolas Cage's character gets in there, he basically just like, Yeah, okay, here's the description. When his car breaks down, a quiet loner agrees to clean an abandoned family fun center in exchange for repairs. He soon finds himself waging war against possessed animatronics mascots while trapped inside Willy's Wonderland. And of course, each one of the animatronics has their like way. There's a crocodile, there's a Fey who like kind of messes with your mind, and she tries to charm you. And then there's Willy, who's he's a weasel, he's the leader. Highly recommended. Like, definitely. Rotten Tomatoes only gave it a 65% score, which 62%, which is, it's not for everybody. But if you have a particular distaste in Nicolas Cage or particular love of him, if you're in the middle somewhere, this ain't for you. But it's a really stupidly fun film. And I would call it gory and graphic, but it's not, right? Because like when he beats them, it's not blood, it's oil and grossness that he gets covered in. It's choice. Go watch it. But I say all of that, because of the Matryoshka doll. Back to the Matryoshka doll. Back to magic items. I feel like I ran an adventure one time similar to this, but I ran it for kids on bikes. It was called The Mystery of Chanky Cheese. And it was like a snow day, and Chanky Cheese has been closed down for years, but the local, like this group of kids have to go figure out what's going on at Chanky Cheese. Yeah, it's kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's. Yes, Kai Hawkeye, you're correct. It's kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, that's correct. Now, back to magic items. Y'all, if you're jealous of all these cool people in chat who backed the Kickstarter, you can go ahead and you didn't get to. You can pre-order today. right now. You can go pre-order. There's a link for the pre-order page, so you can be first in as soon as those stocks hit our store and other stores to get that shipped out and available to you. I believe PDFs as well as hard copies are available now for pre-order. And, you know, if you're out there and you're going to be doing some reviews, which we really appreciate, of the product, consider going and checking out the show we did this past Saturday, the Vault of Magic show. There's a VOD here on Twitch, but you'll also be able to catch it on YouTube. Adam did a fantastic job, and all the players, a lot of the players actually contributed to the book, so they brought many of their magical items into this, which I think is really, really neat. There's some consumable magic items, which I think is really, really cool. We don't oftentimes get a lot of consumables when we think about it, but I'm pretty sure the Hendrix put some kind of butter. There's like magic butter in the a stick of magic butter in the book, and it had been mentioned to me. There's a couple other strange consumable things. There's some very cool like food-based items. Like I know one of the ones Celeste Konowich designed. Oh, I think she designed is it looks kind of like like the stick you put into honey, but it's a mace. It's a honey mace for a bear folk, which is really cool. So there are so many choices, and there are so many magic items I've not even seen. Like I've been talking about Vault of Magic since, oh my god, almost a year now. It's been almost a year. Not quite, but close. Yeah. You're currently pulling your Tome of Beast and your Creature Codec off the shelf and writing an evil clockwork adventure. You should. I think that's such a great idea. I love that. Adam really surprised them this weekend. It was definitely not what I expected. I don't think it was what they expected either, it was a lot of fun. A lot of nods to like movies and Halloween things, like haunted things that are part of our pop culture and media references. So it was a lot of fun. You should check it out. And then, you know, way back when the Kickstarter was still going, we had another one shot, and our very own Victoria Rogers, who's our communications person and our social media manager, they also put something into the book, some items into the book, I believe, and they ran a one-shot as well with some of the magic items. So you can see a lot of them in action if you want to go peek at some of our VODs. Yes, there's fezzes. Yeah, there's a magic fez. I forgot about that. There's a lot of wearable stuff. So, Vault of Magic, I would say massive success. Still to this day, I think our biggest Kickstarter in terms of both backers and in terms of the dollar. You have a Blair Witch one-shot that you run on Halloween. That sounds like fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. I was actually talking, I had a Halloween party, and I had been talking to some people. You know, as we get older, we reminisce about things, and we were reminiscing about, you know, when we used to go to the movies to, like, get out of the house. Like now I'm like, I don't want to go to the movies. I can watch it at home. But like when I was younger, going to the movies was like a whole thing because it was the perfect excuse to get out of the house. And I remember seeing Blair Witch Project when I was either in the 8th or 9th grade, and definitely should not have seen it. But everybody else was talking about it. We were talking about how because they had not done all the interviews, all the marketing and all of the information had not come out yet about it kind of being set up. I remember watching it in the theaters, and there was a point where I was like, I don't think I can watch this. This is real. Like, the moment of believing that the Blair Witch Project is actually happening to these poor people, you know, and that build up all the way to the end, which just, like, drops off, and your heart's, like, racing. I remember being in the theater being like, I was, like, panting with them when the lights went out and it got dark, and I could hear everybody else panting and all of our hearts beating. It was crazy. Oh, fun. You need to work on your new Christmas one-shot. My last one had fidgy pudding and fruitcake as weapons. Yeah, I watched it in the 7th grade in a friend's basement. Like, precisely. Like, bad. I was so terrified. But Blair Witch is a great template, I guess you could say, for a scary one-shot. And I love Christmas one-shot. I haven't done a proper Christmas one, but I did write a Yuletide one shot. I used it for the North by North Quest, which is the podcast I used to be involved with. My very first podcast, my very first D&D podcast. Many years ago, I wrote a Yuletide adventure that actually I'm looking at altering a little bit. So very fun there. All right. So I've talked y'all's ears off about I've talked your ears off about quite a few things, mostly Vault of Magic, but I want to talk your ears off now about the Book of Ebon Tides and some Plane of Shadow stuff. So you can see we're doing great stuff. I actually wanted to check and see for the Kickstarter what... We just hit another stretch goal. There. So there's both of the books. Y'all, I'm still... I cannot believe somebody did not tell me we were going to have these swanky dice. I'm all about the dice. Stretch goals. Here we go. We have unlocked... Yeah. 7 new spells. Hang on. I'm feeling like y'all can't see my mouse because it's not capturing yet. Let me see what I can do about that. It should be capturing it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Maybe you can see the mouse and I'm just blind. Okay. So it looks like we've unlocked 7 new Fey Magic Spells, which is pretty sweet, along with free Sirenscape sound set for backers at $24 or more, so that's pretty huge, especially for those of you that are using Sirenscape. Shadow Realm form fillable character sheet, which is huge. Map of the City Fallen into Shadow. I'm so excited for the City Fallen into Shadow. Y'all, I cannot wait to get my hands on this book. Like, I just cannot wait. And then the Patron Goddess of Necromancers. Very cool. And it looks like we've got a few more to go. So, potentially some new necromantic spells. Ooh, a map of the Court of Midnight Teeth. Would love that. That'd be cool. So, yeah, we need you to help us get there so we can get all of these things. Because, of course, the more backers we have up front, the more things we can put into the book. So, welcome in, Magic 8 Ball says no. Glad to see you here. Okay. Let me pop over, boink, to Roll20. So, you may or may not know, but we are currently running Courts of the Shadow Fey on the channel on Monday nights. We're in Oh, great question, Magic 8 Ball says no. So my understanding about what we have for the Courts of the Shadow Fey and the Book of Ebon Tides. The way that the Book of Ebon Tides is set up, because there's like the setting guide, which is just going to give you more than just the Shadow Fey. You're going to get the whole plane of existence. You're going to get setting information about who's there, the different regions. Last week, we went over some of those regions, which are outlined in the Midgard World Book. A lot of them in short, but gives you kind of a rough idea. You can expect that a lot of what's there is about to be expanded upon, basically for the Book of Ebon Tides. But the Kickstarter includes a second book, which is it's called Tales from the Shadows. It's a collection of adventures. Or adventure prompts, I guess you could say. And that's set for levels 1 through 8, I believe. It could be 3 through 8. I genuinely can't remember. But there's like a series of them that work up from low level to level 8. And the reason they stop at level 8 is because ideally you could run all of those adventures up to level 8 and then bump that right up next to starting Courts of the Shadow Fey. Because Courts of the Shadow Fey suggests you start at level 8 as you move into it because it is a higher level adventure. Now, that being said, I imagine there will be a few callbacks, but ideally what they're trying to do is, like I said, expand upon the information. So they may take some stuff that didn't get answered in Courts of the Shadow Fey, because really Courts of the Shadow Fey focuses on the Shadow Queen and her wants. Right? It's about saving the city of Zobek from her destruction or her rule. And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll give up Zobek, whatever, but you have to do this thing for me. And so you kind of get messed up in their courtly drama, which is really like this big in comparison to the entire plane of shadows. So I imagine there will be some callbacks. I imagine that the Queen of Night Magic will be mentioned because there's a lot of Fey Magic, new Fey Magic that is going into the Book of Ebon Tides. So yes and no. Now what's really funny is because the Book of Ebon Tides was not out yet, we started Courts of the Shadow Fey, which means that my players already started at a higher level, I guess you could say. So what I'm actually doing today is looking at the wrap up of this adventure, because I expect my players will either finish it this week or next week. Excuse me, next Monday or the Monday after, in terms of dealing with the Moonlight King and the drama with the Queen of Night and Magic. And my hope is to actually take them from the Courts of the Shadow Fey setting backwards into one of the Book of Ebon Tide adventures so we can get just a little dip of what we can expect from that. And so I don't have that copy yet, and I don't have anything official to show all of you, but today I wanted to see, like, where do we wrap up? And I have some thoughts, so anybody that's watching the show, this will be a full spoiler chat regarding Courts of the Shadow Fae and the Book of Ebon Tides. Oh, I am really excited to see the Book of Ebon Tides. I think it is going to be, Wolfgang gets excited about a lot of stuff. He's an excitable kobold. But I don't think I have seen him as excited as he is for this particular book as I've seen him about anything. I just need to put that out there. Wolfgang has been talking about this and been excited about this since I came on board over a year ago. Actually, November 1st was a year that I've been with Kobold Press. I totally missed that. I didn't even think about that. November 1, I've been with Kobold Press 1 whole year. And I feel like a little lucky dot now. And he is very excited for this too, and because Midgard is his setting. It's so much of his world. To watch the Kobold and Chief get giddy about something, there's no way it can't make you excited. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, it's been really wonderful. So, and for whatever reason, I convinced them not to let me go. So, ooh, excuse me, yawn. That's that middle of the afternoon coffee lull. Let me see if I can't fix that. So a lot of really great stuff that's going to be involved in it, and I already very much look forward to what can be done with the adventures, because I believe, or at least I was told, that the adventures can be run sequentially, so you can just run through them and do one giant adventure that way, or you can kind of pick and choose, because they are all standalone. They deal with various races, issues, politics, environmental things that are going on in the plane of shadows at large, not just the Queen's Court. Now, my players have finally reached the tower. Okay, at the end of the campaign, the Queen, of course, approves them going out to go help her with something, which is to take the Moonlight King's Orb of Rule. The Orb of Rule being the thing that, or his buttons, but the Orb of Rule being the thing that kind of grants him his power. And she really wants his reign to come to an end. That's it in a nutshell. The Queen of Night and Magic is done with the Moonlight King, who is said to be a little mad and a little crazy. I shouldn't use the term crazy. He's said to be a bit mad, not right in his mind. And so they are sent. But to get to the Moonlit King and his tower, they must pass through his labyrinth, a maze that is unforgiving, to say the least. And that maze is kept, well, a few things there. Yeah, we're all mad here. There's a creature that keeps that labyrinth. There's a couple creatures you come across along the way, but there's a keeper of the gate, I guess you could say, that keeps other creatures away from the Moonlit King. And that's this horrible creature called the Eye Golem. Yes, it's just like what it sounds. It is a golem that consumes people's eyes. And when he does, they like reemerge on his body as the eyes do. It's yeah, it's a very strange and but kind of very cool. It lets off this bright light. It can blind people. Just really, really neat. But they've just finished killing the golem, freeing a bunch of angels and celestials that have been held in captivity and abused by the Shadow Fae. Oh, yeah. I had to have a big content warning for my players. I was like, how do we feel about eyeballs? Because this is about to get weird. But, yeah, and so they're through all that. And they have found their way actually now to the center of the maze into the king's tower. And so prepping for next Monday is going to be very strange because they did come in with a lot of questions here. I'm going to show the first floor of the tower. Because this is his throne, in fact, and they were able to identify some of the blood marks, but there is this blue wall, this I hate to call it glass or crystalline because it's not that solid. It's more made of moonlight. It's more made of moonlight, along with the stairs that match, and then this strange wheel. And they haven't quite figured it all out yet. They're like putting it together. But here we go. This is what I was looking for. There's a few things to like really note. Yeah. So the stairs are a big tricky thing. The stairs in and themselves are a giant trap because the stairs are controlled by the Orb of Rule. And basically, he can turn the stairs. He can turn the stairs off. That's the best way. He can turn them on and off. So at any point, the players may have to make a dexterity check if the stairs fall out from underneath them, which of course gets more and more dangerous as they move up the tower. So the king or another person holding the Orb of Rule can turn the stairs on or off each round as a bonus action. When they are on, they are solid stairs. When they're off, the stairs disappear, and creatures on them plummet to the earth. The Moonlight King flies up to the top and uses the Radiant Stairway to allow Chamberlain Rock to climb up to him. He's willing to let Rock fall if it takes the enemies down as well. So this was kind of the predicament they were left in last episode. This Chamberlain here, Chamberlain Rock, who's kind of a crazy Darrow, if I remember correctly. I may have to look up his NPC information, but I'm pretty sure that's his deal. Was trying to escape, was trying to go up the stairs and get to the Moonlit King, and unfortunately took the fall with the players because the Moonlit King dropped the stairs. And creatures that fall through an interior level of the tower can grab hold of the beams or edges of the floor and arrest their fall with a successful DC 13 dexterity save throw. A couple of them did, a couple of them didn't. Yeah, stairs? No stairs. You're right, Jay Lee. Much less fun than red light, green light. Much less fun. So the first floor, they've got this kind of spiral staircase, blah, 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 blah. The second floor has these charred beams. I need to make these windows smaller so all of you... Too many windows! So all of you can see what I'm talking about, actually see it. So that's the fourth floor. Where's the second floor? There. Second floor is here. You can kind of see the charred beams and the first floor map below. Right. And then I believe they get to the third floor. And it becomes a tad more solid. There's like actual ground to stand on. But right now, my players are literally perched out on these rotting beams over the first floor. Sans for one of them who fell through along with the Chamberlain. The burnt out floor is a strange one. 2 enormous holes mar the outer walls, and a layer of bluish smoke just above the charred remains of the floor beams create a sort of arcane floor. The 2 of the charred beams still extend all the way from one side of the tower to the other. One is near a block and tackle hoist that connects a heavy chain to the bottom floor. This must be the block and tackle that connects the chain to this wheel down here. The smoke is magical, but won't hold weight. The charred beams will fall apart pretty easy. Don't count on them for long. The floor holds very little weight. It collapses at the start of the third round of combat, or when 3 creatures stand on one beam at the same time. Okay. The spiral stairs become quite spongy underfoot in this area. 2 open doorways lead out the balcony to the balustrade. So that must be the third floor, I'm going to guess, because I don't see a balcony. Yes. So let me just double check that. I'm not crazy. Because basically once they get up to the top, the Moonlit King is there. Yes. So the third floor here leads them up. You can see the balcony out here. Right? The open balcony. Continue up to the fourth floor. Oops. Which is up here. We can again see the wheel, which I find very interesting, and I'm guessing what seems to be an empty hole. "130 feet above ground level, the 6-foot wide balcony has a simple marble wall about 2 feet high. Exterior stairs ascend to the battlements and the rooftop. The battlement and the 35-foot diameter slate roof are the darkest parts of the tower, although the statue at the peak is in fact a blindfolded angel Revich. Glowing with a pure, warm light, he knows the meeting will irrevocably affect the future of the Shadow Realm and is here to observe the event. If the characters befriend him in the Lords of Light encounter, he might assist each member of the Lords of Light faction by healing them up. So here's the thing. They did not. They did not befriend him at all. In fact, they hated Revich quite a lot. My team did, and they grabbed Revich's eyes. The golem had this angel's eyes, and may choose to return it for a little help. Okay. And then, of course, at the very top is the Moonlight King himself. Now, this is tricky, right? Because what the players are unaware of. Oh, that's a great question. Does it have an obulette? I don't see one. Yeah, I don't see one. Yeah, the interior of the tower is full of 2 piles of rubble, a handful of moonbeams, and a bright glowing staircase of blue light. In the back, in shadow, is a throne of pale greenish stone. An enormous creature stands, a servant or bodyguard of some kind, a hunchback giant with heavy proportions flowing. The king speaks, I am the ancient spirit doomed for long eons to walk this maze, and each day to be chained fast to a dozen tiny fires till the crimes done in my cited days are purged and burnt away. Have you come to free me? So the tricky thing here is that the players have been set up to believe that the king is mad. He is, in fact, mad, but he's mad because he has been bound to this place for so long. So the players have an opportunity to not only, they can just choose to fight him, they can steal his Orb of Rule, or they can choose to free him. But the tower and the labyrinth must have a king. It must have a king. So if they free him, somebody else has to take his place. That's the only way he can, like, be freed. That or death, I guess. So I am excited to see how the players are going to handle this, whether they'll choose combat or whether to choose some kind of diplomatic option. Because after the 4th floor, it comes all the way up to here. This is the 5th floor down here. Right? Which is, like, full of so many things. Right? Lots of creatures and lots of stuff. There's the king himself. Let's see. He motions as his lumbering servant. So, His Majesty expects an offering or bribe, as is customary among nobility. So, we'll see if they do that or not. Yes. I love that. Part of the crew, part of the ship. Love it. The audience ends unless the character can convince... The king most likely would accept magic, possibly something more personal, such as a sign from the queen or proof of a rival's death. The audience ends unless the characters can convince the king to speak with them by giving him an offering. So he won't speak with them unless they offer something. Acceptable items include anything you see fit, with emphasis on those that are connected with the character's previous actions. Possibilities include the head of the demon lord of roaches, a mass of gold or jewels, a very rare magic item, a lock of the queen's hair, or a memory of hers in physical form, and the complete set of key daggers the character received earlier. This is interesting because they did receive the key daggers. Well, 2 of them did. One received one at the end of Season 1, and one received one at the top of Season 2, and one of those daggers has been buried in the cave just outside the tower, because that was what the player chose to do. If no bribe is offered to draw his interest, the king continues his conversation, but less and less frequently addresses the characters. Instead, he speaks more and more to the hulking Darrow giant and to his servants, shades and servants, barely visible ghosts and tattered spirits. He sits behind his wall, contented to babble and wait the party out. The king can offer what the characters want, which is the relinquishing of the claim to Zobek, in exchange for their cutting him and spilling his blood in the tower. The characters might think that he is a Joker-style masochist, but the truth is slightly different. Spilling the king's blood breaks an ancient prohibition against harming the king and frees him from his sworn oath to remain in the tower. It even helps relieve his madness. The problem is that his madness prevents him from taking even simple steps for his own benefit, and thus the characters must help put the pieces of sanity together before he can do so. Treat this approach as a skill challenge with some added complications. The king asks him questions that weigh heavily on his broken mind. The correct answers help him pull closer to the shores of sanity, while false answers drive him deeper into rage. Throughout the adventure, the characters might have discovered the answer to these questions, each such as a clue, the shards of a broken mind, who sent you here, so forth and so on. The king asks many questions of the characters. Setting him straight on all counts requires undertaking a skill challenge and getting 5 successes before 3 failures. Below are the questions, the proper answers, and the kind of success ability checks needed to convey each answer. Okay. Who brought this madness upon me? Who sent you here? The queen worries for your continued health and sitteth for reasons of state. Interesting. She has the queen ensorcelled me. Okay, so each time the characters answer incorrectly, gain a failure. The king shouts, "You offered me trifles, you know nothing," so forth and so on. If the skilled challenges result in a failure, or the characters do not even try to engage the king in conversation, combat ensues. The Moonlight King is a glass demon, a translucent creature of light and hardened glass, who remains out of reach by flying or by casting a wall. I want to look at his character sheet. I bet he's really powerful. Oh, yeah. And let's not forget, he's got the Orb of Rule, which has its own set. It's its own magic item. So it's got its own set of stats and things to think about. It has these 20 charges. You can cast these spells from it. It's also a +3 flail, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so basically, probably what I'll do is put them through with the Lunar Devil and then the Chamberlain. Leave the Shadow Beast out. I don't like spending too much time in combat, at least for a live show. So I'll probably run them here if combat ensues. Huh. Okay, so it looks like the walls have this moonbeam. It strengthens his magic. As long as he stands within one of them, he can use his Aura of Madness, legendary action. When the king is outside a moonbeam, his aura is inactive. Hey, creatures with light or radiant-based spells can probably move or control that beam of light. That's very helpful to know. Creatures with shadow or necrotic-based spells could attempt to quench the moonbeams. So the Moonlight King currently has been exiled by his wife to the tower, surprise, which is hidden in this spiral labyrinth. We know that. Inside of the lair, okay, so he can create these moonbeams of light, which help him. Chooses a point he can see within 100 feet. Disembodied whisper, speaking of despair. Okay. The Moonlight King magically summons 4 shadow beasts. Can see within 60 feet. Okay, so once the Moonlight King is defeated in combat or convinced to stop fighting by a successful skill challenge, he slumps and falters. Indeed, his crown grows heavy, and he is suddenly the weary king, burdened by his failures and madness in the past, but also sane. Oh, it's beautiful. The king slumps in defeat, and the blue-gray orb of power falls from his hands to the floor. I'm tired of battle. I'm tired of the ghosts that haunt me. The time is past. His eyes seem unclouded, and when he looks towards you, it's clear his madness has passed. My mind is my own, but perhaps time is short. Let us strike a bargain. I shall give you the city of kobolds, and you shall give me enough help that my own purpose will blossom like cherries in springtime. Let us haggle. So it's this point that he can be convinced to put his seal to a character's flesh as a royal sign that proves he has renounced the Shadow Fey claim to the humans or kobold city. So this would be his buttons. This is what we were talking about earlier. Look, Fey lords and ladies are not to be trifled with. They hella mean. They are so mean. And I know there's a lot in the Shadow Realm, right, that is not great. I mean, or I'm sorry, the Plane of Shadows. It is called the Plane of Shadows for peak's sake. Wow, there's some choices here. Let's see. He does not do so for nothing, but he certainly accepts the mortal claim to Zobek and the end of the Fey edicts and assassinations in exchange for whatever you think is most appropriate, given the characters of the Mad King. The character of the Mad King. The decision is not one over which he's willing to linger. Here are 4 likely options. So a female character can spend the night with him atop the tower in a secluded place. This leaves her with the choice of advantage on all saving throws against a single type of the player's choice, such as fire or bludgeoning, but forever scarred by the touch of the shadow light. Okay. The party must sacrifice the greatest and most powerful item it holds, which it uses to restore the king's powers using mortal magic, something that the Fae never quite mastered. The party swears a divine oath that they will pursue and slay the demon lord of roaches. Guess what? They already did that. Failure to pursue this goal has dire consequences as the characters waste away and become death wisp. Oh, interesting. In a game that actually may be a big bargaining chip because they've already that was a very big surprise with the Demon Lord of Roaches, because he has kind of been part of the problem of what put the Moonlight King here, and he's already dead. They killed him. So who knows? Maybe that's their bargaining chip to get to talk to him. In a game that inclines towards the tragic, the Moonlight King might wish for his own death, but he warns the character that this event will unleash dark powers throughout the Shadow Realm and ignite a deadly fight that the characters must escape. Indeed, if anyone claims his crown, they also inherit his shadow and his memories, and in time, his madness. If the king does put his seal on a character's flesh, this means that at least one character is marked with a crescent moon and acknowledged as a servant of the king. As soon as this occurs, move on to the conclusion, unless you particularly want to reprise all the courtly thanks and honors. It's perhaps as well that they are dropped unceremoniously back into the mortal world. So this is interesting, right? Because I actually have to figure out what to do with the players, because they're going to go back out in because this is where I'm going to tie in the Book of Ebon Tides at the end of this. And right now, I have 2 players that are deeply, deeply interested in the favor of the queen. I have one player that is deeply interested in seeing the queen's son come to perish. And I have one character, she's the druid, and is a little bit more neutral, as most druids are. And she's not interested in as much courtly stuff, and I think the hook for her is actually going to be the effect that this has on the plane of shadows, on the physical realm. So let's see. Trying to leave. And I have to, so at the top of this season, the queen gifted them great power. I know. She gifted them extra power to boost them to be able to come do this. She was like, here, take my magic. But if they choose the Moonlit King, she's going to remove that magic from them. Which will be very interesting. And so I'll have to drop back down to a level 8, which puts them just in line for the adventure I'm going to try to run them through. If the character who strikes the final blow obeys the queen's implicit wishes and elects to kill him, the tower lights are immediately doused, as if by rushing water or a wave of shadows. A great howl goes up from the animals and creatures of the forest. Darkness presses in, and it's easy to get the idea that perhaps the tower is surrounded by monsters now on all sides. This event marks the end of the light and darkness and the start of a dark age in the court, during which the Black Prince, the Demon Lord of Roaches, and the Queen commit murder daily, executing dissenters, running arcane battles of demons against Fey with death to the hindmost. Trying to leave by simply going back through the maze is suicide. There are hundreds of shadow creatures roaming the maze. There are 2 more practical options for escape. They can seize the orb. So the character who first touches the Orb of Rule becomes attuned to the orb immediately and assumes the title of the Moonlit King. The state is temporary if the character leaves the Shadow Realm within a day. During that time, the orb's power enables the party to return to the queen without further incident if they so desire. She holds up her end of the bargain if the characters bring the orb to her, and therefore she solidifies her rule. She returns the characters, and she opens a shadow road and takes them back to Zobek. She's not opening a shadow road. She's going to dump them in the plane of shadows. She rewards the character, so I just read that, and takes them back to Zobek if they want to leave. If no character takes the orb, the Demon Lord of Roaches claims it not long after, and the queen becomes very angry because now she's married to a demon roach lord. If the characters are willing to trust their lives to the blind angel, Revik will fly them back to the queen in return for their promise to undertake a quest for him as soon as they return to Zobek. The angel burns through the sky like a comet. Oh, that's beautiful. Huh. The characters might attempt to support his demands as well, or they could remain true to the original bargain by giving the queen some token of her husband's death in exchange for her release of all Fey claim and their return home. So really, exactly, no witnesses that way. So here's the thing. This is that point where the characters are going to have to make a choice. Do they support the queen and fulfill it? I have a feeling either this week or the following week, this upcoming Monday or the following, it's going to get intense because the character group, the PCs, all have very different wants and very different needs. Yeah, and there is no Demon Lord of Roaches, so this can't happen. If the character obtains the orb and wants to take the title of king or queen, that's certainly a possible outcome. They gain the shadow of the king and over a month's time gain his memories and become able to hear his advising voice. Ruling the shadow realm successfully, though, is outside the scope of this adventure. That makes sense. And then I believe there's like a returning thing if they actually return back to Zobek. But what I love is that even though they've been gone for a matter of maybe days or weeks, they've been gone from the city of Zobek for over a year. So even when they return, which is what's going to happen at the end, they're going to have to go seek out a road to get back to Zobek. When they get back, they're going to find that Zobek is, though not under the queen or king's rule anymore, under the Shadow Fae, I guess you should say, it is free once again. It is desperately affected by their time away. So this should be a very interesting endeavor. I think what I'm going to have to do is just wait to see what they choose. If they choose the Shadow King, or I'm sure if they choose the Moonlight King to help him and leave him in his place, free him from his madness, free him from his duties, I guess you could say, he will safely place them somewhere else in the Shadow Realm. Or the Plane of Shadows. If they go the queen's route, she will do the same, but she's still going to rip from them all the power she gave them, moving them back down to level 8 and telling them that she will take them to a shadow road, to a place where they can find a shadow road to get back home, but she's not going to put them back in Zobek. So that's how they're going to get started on this next round of adventure. Is she's going to just drop them in the Plane of Shadow somewhere where there is supposedly a shadow road, and that they're going to have to find their own way back. So it's we're in a very interesting place with this module because I don't know what my players are going to choose, but at least know how it ends and what the possibilities are. I do have a gut feeling one of the players may choose to keep the Orb of Rule, which should be very interesting because he desperately wants the queen's love and attention. And what actually that's going to do is make her hate him just like she hated the king, because she wants the king's power. She doesn't want a king at all. If they choose to slay the king and take all of this power back to the queen, what they inevitably do is make the courts more volatile. Though Zobek is saved, the courts of the Shadow Fae are now left to the queen and her son, who are horrible. So I don't exactly know how this is gonna pan out. I have no idea because I think a lot of this is going to be on player choice, especially when I have one PC that is in love with the queen. I have one PC who uses her as like a patron almost, draws their magic from her as a warlock. I've got one PC who despises the queen's son to the point where she's ready to murder him. And then I have this poor druid that I'm sure just desperately wants some level of balance. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, that one particular character is very likely to either take it or give it to the queen. And if that's the case, it frees them, right, from having to take on the responsibility of being the next Moonlit King, or the responsibility, but it definitely changes the balance of the courts, especially when her and her son are now going to wreak deathly havoc upon the Shadow Fae in a strange way. So nothing is ever as it seems with the Shadow Fae, and I think with the queen in particular, she's a very tricky woman, and there's no way that the players in this regard are going to get what they want. Zobek may be saved, but there will always be a sacrifice or a consequence to the actions that are made, and I want that to weigh really heavy as this campaign kind of rounds out. or at least moves them from the end of this campaign into the next one, the next like mini adventure out and in the Plane of Shadows. So yeah, wow, I talked a lot today, y'all. Yeah, by all means, I believe the first 2 episodes are available now on YouTube. Session 3 was rebroadcast this past Monday and is also available in a VOD here on Twitch right now, I think. I don't know. They may all 3 be up online and I just don't know it. But you can get caught up on like this season. I do a nice recap at the top of the season 2 so that you don't necessarily have to go back and watch season 1 if you missed anything. But it's been a heck of a journey, a heck of a travel. So I don't know what they're going to choose. I have no idea. Yeah. You know, before coming onto Kobold, I did a lot of homebrewing, all of my stories. And I still do. But I have found great joy in picking up a lot of the campaigns from Kobold Press, and a lot of these setting books from Kobold Press because I found them extremely inspiring. I found it extremely inspiring. And I think, I'm finding this like interesting groove in other people's written content that is like freeing me as a GM in certain ways, and like I said, inspiring me in certain ways. And I think this campaign in particular has probably been the best one, the one that like I personally just really grabbed a hold of. So I highly encourage you, if you've not watched it, the content is out there. The cast, you are right, is amazing. They are just so stellar. We've got Mythmatic on board. We've got Persephoroth on board. We've got Eugenio, who is DM Jazzy Hands. You probably know him from the Motherlands gaming. And we have Rocket Fox, who's absolutely one of my favorite role players ever. So yeah, the show is live every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we go 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Mondays. And usually the VOD is available on Twitch right afterwards. And if you prefer YouTube, you usually can get that within the week. But season 1 is available in all 7 parts. I believe there's 7 sessions for that. And I imagine we'll end up with 8 sessions before this campaign is totally over with. Now, we are at the end, which means it is time for me to spill some beans. We've talked a lot about our current Kickstarters. We've talked a lot about past Kickstarters. If you want to know more about the Plane of Shadows, you want to know more about this realm, make sure you back the Kickstarter going on right now, the Book of Ebon Tides. You can type !Ebon Tides there in chat, and it'll get you over to that Kickstarter page. If you were really hyped about the Vault of Magic talk that was happening today, and you're a little jealous everybody's got their grubby little kobold claws on the Vault of Magic, you can go ahead and pre-order it if you missed the Kickstarter. If you did back the Kickstarter and haven't received yours yet, please be patient. The mail is just a disaster right now across every country, and so we are working desperately to get you what you helped us make happen. So just know it's coming. Please be patient with us. Now, we've got a few other shows. Yes. A few other shows, new shows that are going to be coming to Kobold Press, which I am over the moon excited to talk about. So, for our holiday season, we are going to have a Wednesday night show. It'll be a short run of 4 weeks, starting November, let me double check. Yeah, November 24th. So starting Wednesday, November 24th. New shows. I'm going to be GMing some original content set in the Northlands of Midgard. If you love Nordic culture, if you love those gods, if you love cold weather and Vikings, oh boy, do I have a show for you. Yeah, do I have a show for you? So I might even be breaking out some of my Yuletide adventures to tie into this. We're going to do a 4-week game, partnering with the Last Refuge podcast. If you love Eugenio, this is his podcast that he does with friends, and the cast of The Last Refuge is just amazing. And the reason that I chose this group in particular is because we're going to be using a very special new VTT that's not quite available to the public yet, but will be coming in the new year in 2022. We'll be partnering with a company called One More Multiverse. One More Multiverse creates a VTT platform using 8-bit art. That's the best way I can describe it. If you haven't checked them out, please do. I'm absolutely obsessed. Absolutely obsessed with this platform. You can create your characters, little 8-bit characters. All of the maps get turned to kind of 3D. I call them 3D. They're 2D renderings of 8-bit stuff. Everything is interactive. You can pick stuff up. There are mini games I can set up using Fog of War and stuff like that. And so for this game in particular, I picked a podcast group because we're only going to be doing voice acting. So you get to come in and almost watch kind of a Pokemon style VTT where the characters move around, where they can pick stuff up, where they can cast magics and make things interactive, but you'll only be hearing their voices. So it should be a very different but a very, very cool way to ring in the holiday season here on Wednesday evenings starting at 6 p.m. That will be November 24th and will run for 4 weeks, so in just before the holiday season. In addition to that, in addition to that, we will be running another show. I feel like I can announce. Yeah, I feel like I can announce this now because we officially decided on it yesterday. Starting November 30th. We're going to have a very extended campaign of Empire of the Ghouls coming to the Kobold Press channel. This will be in partnership with another group who is ready to hit the ground running. I'm very excited. A lot of new players that are very fresh to the TTRPG community with a lot of talent and a lot of diversity and a lot of great takes. We've got a female GM that's going to be doing it. Very cool. You know how I feel about that. And for a dark campaign like Empire of the Ghouls, it makes me very happy to have a female voice at the table as the GM. We'll be announcing cast and things like that very, very soon, but you can expect that we're probably going to run Empire of the Ghouls every Tuesday night from, I can't remember what we decided on. I think it was 5 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. So that would be 2 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. GMT. Yeah, correct. I can math. But that is probably going to run us all the way into February of 2022. So you can expect about 12 to 14 weeks of Empire of the Ghoul content with this group of people. Dang, I'm so excited. I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to be, it's a stellar cast. It's a great campaign, and it's one we've not run here yet, so you can get really, really hyped about that, especially for those of you that like that dark, gritty underworld feel. This will be very good, and also a great pairing with this talk of the Plane of Shadows, because of course the Ghoul Empire is actually in the Plane of Shadows. It's underneath it, but it's there, and there's a little bit of a connection there, even though they're out doing their own thing outside of the Fey courts. You'll get to learn a lot about the like Ghoul Empire and what that looks like in Midgard. Yes, you'd apologize in advance for the bloodletting, but you're cruel and heartless, no mercy. Best of luck to the players. Yeah, we've definitely talked a lot about safety tools for that campaign. We've talked a lot about some of the specific content we may alter a little bit, one, to meet our PG-13 standard for this channel, but also to keep our players comfortable, because comfortability is everything. So you'll have to turn back out and check that out. We'll have a lot of announcements coming soon regarding that, but for now, you can check us out Monday evenings, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, for the continuation of Courts of the Shadow Fae. And, yeah. And then, of course, the 2 upcoming shows. We also have some once-a-month shows to once-every-2-week shows that we're going to be bringing on. If you like mini paintings, like people that paint miniatures, I've got a fun show for you. I can't quite announce that one yet because not everything's in place, but I do have a very, very fun show for all of you regarding that. And I feel like there's one more. Oh, yes. And we're going to be partnering with another group of people. Contracts haven't gone out yet, so I can't quite announce it, but we are going to be looking at something called the Kobold Press Beast Bash, which will happen once a month, and it's going to be a little bit of a meat grinder where episodic type thing that happens monthly where they go out and they hunt one of the beasts from either our tomes or the creature codex. So you get to see a lot of our beasts in action in various ways in regards to that. So that's as much as I can tell you on those. I can't spill all the beans, but I can spill some of the beans. And we'll be back here every Wednesday for more Kobold chats where I will hopefully continue to spill beans. Same Kobold time, same Kobold channel. Please, go back something. Go give some bits. Hit a subscription. You know, if you're not in a place to do either of those, I just want to thank you for being here. Thanks for watching and tuning in, whether you're doing it live, whether you're over on YouTube and you're catching us after the fact. All of this really, really helps us. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and give us a like on the video. It helps a lot, and it helps other people find the content, which is just as helpful as making bits rain down on Twitch. Oh, welcome in, Hell's Hiker. Glad to see you as a first-time chatter. So glad you're here. If you are with us live today or you're new, I want to say thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to me babble and do a little bit of GM planning today. I couldn't quite do too much because I'm in this weird place where it's like, who knows what my players are going to do? You all know that you never know what your players are going to do. But at least I'm prepped. At least I have a good handle on what's coming for Monday and what we can possibly see them diving into. And y'all, if you just got your Vault of Magic book, take a minute. Pick your social media platform of choice. I don't care if it's TikTok, if it's Twitter, if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, and go post somewhere about your favorite magic item. Just post about it. Maybe you make it, maybe you draw it, maybe you just want to talk about it. Maybe you make a YouTube video. I know somebody out there said that they were going to be doing a review, which is so wonderful and so helpful. But it means a lot to us to see the things that light you up, that bring joy to your table, and that get you hyped to be telling stories using Kobold Press products. So thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to call it a day. I actually have to go get ready because our One More Multiverse group is meeting for the first time tonight. So it's going to be, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So we have to go dive in. We've got to get them inside of the platform, get their characters built. So we're going to go have a little session 0, get really, really hyped with this podcast crew from The Last Refuge. And now's a perfect time. If you don't follow The Last Refuge, even if you don't listen to podcasts, go give them a follow right now on pick your social media platform, because I bet they could use it. And they're over here supporting Kobold Press, which means so much to us. So from me to all of you, thank you for being here today. And we will see you next week for another Kobold Chats on Wednesday afternoons. Same Kobold time, same Kobold channel. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Oh no! Where's my... Oh no! There it is. Bye.